Level 1. The civilian. You wake up in your own bed for the last time. Soft sheets, quiet room, familiar ceiling. It feels normal. Too normal. Your phone buzzes. Friends texting. Life moving on without you already. You stare at your hands. They look the same, but they won't stay that way. You pack your bag. Every item feels heavier than it should. Not because of weight, but because of what it represents. Comfort, control, choice. You're about to lose all three. At the airport, people move freely, laughing, relaxed. You feel out of place already because deep down, you know something they don't. You're walking towards something that will break you, and you still keep going. The plane takes off. There's no turning back now, but you don't yet understand what you've signed up for, and that ignorance is your last form of peace. Level 2. Recruit. The bus door opens. A voice cuts through the night. Loud, sharp, unforgiving. Get off my bus! Your heart spikes. You move fast. Not fast enough. Chaos erupts instantly. Yelling, orders, confusion. You're surrounded by strangers who look just as lost as you feel, but no one dares to show it. Your identity disappears within minutes. Hair gone, clothes gone, name replaced. You are no longer you. You are a recruit. Sleep becomes a rumor. Time dissolves. You're pushed constantly. Run faster, stand straighter, speak louder, or don't speak at all. Your body aches in places you didn't know existed. Your mind begins to crack. Doubt creeps in quietly. Why are you here? No one answers. Because everyone is asking the same question. You learn quickly, not because you want to, because you have to. Mistakes are punished instantly, and they are always watching. Always. You think you're adapting, but you're not. You're just surviving. And survival isn't enough for what comes next. Level 3. Private First Class. You've made it through the first storm. Barely. Your movements are sharper now. More controlled. Less hesitation. But don't confuse this with mastery. You're still at the bottom. Still being watched. Still being tested. Now the expectations rise. Subtly at first. You're given responsibility. Small tasks. Simple orders. But every detail matters. And every mistake still costs. You start noticing things. The way experienced Marines move. Efficient, silent, precise. No wasted motion. No wasted energy. You try to copy them. You fail over and over again. Because what you're seeing isn't skill. It's experience carved through pain. Your confidence grows, then gets crushed again and again. You start to understand something uncomfortable. No one is coming to save you. You either evolve or you get left behind. And the gap between you and the next level? It's bigger than it looks. Level 4. Corporal. Now they expect you to lead. No warning, no ceremony. Just responsibility dropped on your shoulders. And it's heavy. You're no longer just responsible for yourself. Now it's others. Their performance, their mistakes, their safety. You give orders now. Your voice sounds different, stronger. But inside, you're questioning everything. Every decision feels like a risk. Every choice has consequences. And those consequences aren't always yours to carry alone. You learn fast because failure here isn't personal anymore. It's shared. You watch your team, study them. Who's strong, who's weak, who's hiding something. You begin to see people differently, not as friends, but as variables, assets, liabilities. It changes you slowly. You don't laugh the same way anymore. You don't relax the same way either, because you're always thinking ahead, always preparing for what could go wrong. And something always goes wrong. The pressure builds, and you realize leadership isn't about control. It's about responsibility for things you can't control. And that realization, it follows you into the next level. Level 5, Sergeant. Now the stakes rise. Sharply, you're expected to know the answers. Not guess, not hesitate. No, your presence alone carries weight. People look at you differently now. They expect certainty, even when you don't feel it. You speak, they listen, and that power is dangerous. Because one wrong call and everything falls apart. You start to see the bigger picture. Operations, strategy, timing, everything connects. Everything matters. You're no longer just reacting. Now you're anticipating, reading situations before they unfold. But that awareness comes with a cost. You start seeing risks everywhere. Every movement, every silence, every delay. Your mind never stops. Even when you try to rest, you replay decisions, analyze outcomes, question yourself. Did you miss something? Could it have gone differently? These thoughts don't fade, they sharpen, because now mistakes aren't just failures. They're consequences, real ones, and they don't always give second chances. You carry that weight forward because it only gets heavier from here. Level 6. Staff Sergeant. Now you operate in the shadows of complexity. Nothing is simple anymore. Orders come down, but they're incomplete, vague, sometimes flawed. And now it's your job to make them work. You translate chaos into action. You fill in the gaps, quietly, efficiently, because no one else will. Your experience becomes your weapon, not your strength, not your speed, your judgment. You've seen enough to know what failure looks like before it happens. And sometimes you can't stop it. That's the hardest part. You guide others, shape them, push them beyond their limits, because you know what's waiting if they don't. But something changes inside you. You become more distant, less reactive, more controlled, because emotions, they cloud judgment, and you can't afford that anymore. You don't just lead missions, you carry outcomes. Success feels quiet, failure feels permanent, and both stay with you longer than they should. You start realizing something deeper. This isn't just a job anymore, it's an identity. And identities are hard to escape, especially when the next level demands even more of you. Level 7. Gunnery Sergeant. Now you are the backbone, the one others rely on when everything starts to break. And things always break. Plans fall apart. People make mistakes. Situations spiral. And in those moments, they look at you, not for comfort, for solutions. Your voice cuts through noise. Clear, direct, final. No hesitation, because hesitation spreads. And you can't allow that. You've built a reputation now, not through words, through consistency, through pressure, through outcomes. But that reputation comes with expectations, high ones. You don't get the luxury of bad days anymore. You don't get to slip, because too many people depend on you. You become the standard, and standards don't bend. You train relentlessly, not just bodies, minds, instincts, reactions. You prepare others for situations you hope they never face, because you've seen what happens when they're not ready. And those images, they don't leave. They just get quieter, buried under discipline, but still there, always there. And as you step forward, you realize the next level isn't about doing more. It's about becoming something else entirely. Level 8. Master Sergeant, First Sergeant. Now you're operating at 2 levels. The mission and the people, both equally critical, both constantly in conflict. You manage systems now, structures, processes. But beneath all that, you manage human beings. Complex, unpredictable, fragile in ways they don't show. You see patterns others miss. Burnout, fatigue, doubt. It's all there, hidden behind discipline. You address problems before they explode, because once they do, it's too late. Your role becomes quieter, less visible, but far more impactful. You shape environments, cultures, standards, and those things determine everything. You don't need to raise your voice anymore. Your presence alone shifts the room. But with that comes isolation. You're no longer part of the group. You stand apart, watching, analyzing, deciding. And those decisions? They ripple outward in ways you can't always see. You start asking different questions. Not, what do we do? But, what does this lead to? Because now, consequences stretch further and last longer. You carry that awareness forward into a level where even fewer understand what you carry. Level 9. Master Gunnery Sergeant. Now you are the institution. Your experience spans years, decades. You've seen cycles repeat, mistakes echo across time, lessons ignored, then relearned the hard way. You advise, guide, correct, not from theory, from reality. You've lived it. Every scar tells a story. Every decision leaves a mark. People come to you for answers, but you don't always give them directly, because some lessons must be experienced. You protect the standard at all costs, because once standards slip, everything else follows. You don't chase recognition. You don't need it. Your influence is quiet, but absolute. You shape leaders, and those leaders shape everything else. You understand something most never will. This isn't about rank or power or authority. It's about responsibility that never ends, even when the uniform comes off. And as you stand at the top, you realize something unexpected. This was never about becoming stronger. It was about becoming accountable at every level, in every moment, for everything. And that truth changes how you see the entire journey. Because in the end, you never really outrank the responsibility. You just learned to carry more of it.